Hello guys and welcome back to a new video here at Architects 3DP. Today we're going to review a really cool 3D printer provided by GEEETECH. If you remember, we already reviewed a GEEETECH 3D printer in the channel. It was exactly 2 years ago when we reviewed the GEEETECH A20. I have used it a lot and it's been one of the most reliable 3D printers I found. As you may have recognized from the intro, today we're going to review a really cool 3D printer that is no other than the GEEETECH Thunder. It's probably their flagship 3D printer and they claim it's fast, super fast. And I can advance you that they are completely right. This 3D printer is extremely fast and I am going to show it to you, but that's gonna be after I introduce to you with today's video sponsor that is no other than PCBWay. PCBWay is your website to get your PCB prototypes the easy way. Today I want to introduce you to their recently implemented services, OEM, that means one-stop solution. If you're a company or work for one and you need to develop a new product, PCBWay has you covered in every way. This service is mainly focused to EMS or electronics manufacturing service. They can manage the production design, development, engineering validation, and how not, PCBA manufacturing, service, and supply chain management. These are some of the case studies from PCBWay. As you can see, they are so cool. You can visit the link down in the description to know more about the OEM services by PCBWay. Alright, so the printer came inside this big box, that is pretty heavy by the way. Having a look from the top, we'll find some paperwork, including the instructions and a paper sheet with some tips that we'll probably use for leveling the bed. After removing the first layer of foam, we'll find a small spool of orange PLA filament and a cardboard box full of little components that we'll check out later on. Next, we'll also find the power cord, as well as the touchscreen of the 3D printer that comes protected with a plastic that we'll keep for now. In the next floor of the box, we'll directly find the Z and X axis assembly, that comes completely assembled and wired as you can see. It is quite strange, not the regular 3D printer we used to unbox in the channel. As you can see, it has different elements that we don't used to see, such as dual Z-axis motors, these two big fans here, anti-backlash springs in the Z-axis, a dual JR button extruder, and so on. After being able to remove the first layer of foam, that was not easy, we get to the final part of the printer, that as you can see is the base with all the electronics and Y-axis, properly protected in every way. When we finally get it out of the box and remove these protective foams, we keep finding more not regular components in this printer, such as this metallic magnetic print surface that you can see here. It seems they set the lip in the wrong side, or the text will be upside down. However, it does not really matter if it works well. Having a look at the bottom, we can notice two fans, one for the electronics and one for the power supply, which is cool. Back to the top, it seems that we'll place the two Z-axis motors on top of the base assembly, just like that, and we'll be ready to go. But if we turn the printer around one more time, more interesting components show up as you can see. Look at this amazing assembly for the Y-axis motor. And it looks like every motor has a dedicated encoder. Please write in the comments if you know how this complex system works. Looking at the extruder, it has a dual JR button extruder inside a transparent box that also has a filament runout sensor as you can see. And right next to it, you'll find a really strange fans assembly that I guess will be necessary to print at Thunder speeds. The extruder head has, as you can see, a fan for the hot end, two dedicated blower fans, and an LED at the bottom to help us watching how the print is going. Pretty cool features so far, right? It is so cool. Now let's check out the last components inside the cardboard box we took out at the beginning of the video. So when we open it, we can find a lot of stuff inside. Some components in a bag, this white box, more components in a plastic bag, and what looks like part of the spool holder. In this plastic bag, we'll find some spare valve and tube connectors as you can see. Next we find part of the filament spool holder. Next the white box with the 3D touch sensor inside. That, by the way, is quite difficult to open. Once we manage to open it, we'll find the sensor itself. Check out the design. And right underneath, we'll find the cables, the bracket, and bolts to install it. In the next bag with components, we'll find more bags properly labeled with the microSD card and a portion of Bowden tube, some bolts, more bolts, and finally 2 metallic pieces. In the next bag, we'll find more bolts properly tagged and the rest of the parts of the filament spool holder that I'm going to assemble real quick, just like that. 2 more spare bolts, the microSD to USB reader, and a bag with 2 spare nozzles that, as you can see, have a quite characteristic shape. Check them out, guys. We also have a spatula, a set of tools for the assembly and maintenance, some zip ties, more tools, a couple PTFE tubes, the USB-A to USB-B cable, and last but not least, a GEEETECH mousepad that I am definitely not going to use, but it's always a good detail to include. Alright, so all the components have been unboxed, guys. And now, as always, we're going to start with the assembly. To start, we'll pick up the M5x50mm bolts and the Allen key. We'll turn the 3D printer like that, and we'll insert the 2 bolts on each of the sides. That's one side, and here we go for the second one. Once we have all 4 inserted, we'll tighten them all the way through. Next, we'll pick up the M5x20mm bolts, since we are going to install the 2 metal rigidizers on each of the sides of the printer. And once all 6 are inserted, we'll tighten them. Once one side finished, we'll repeat the same process on the other side. For the next step, we'll use the 2 last M5x20mm bolts to install the touchscreen in place just like that. Once installed in place, we'll connect the cable with the pins facing to the top of the screen just like that. Next, we'll install the filament spool holder in place, right here at the back of the right-hand side of the printer. We'll release the T-nuts, insert them in the slots, and tighten them back one more time. Next, according to the instructions, we will have to install the Bowden tube connectors, but mine came already installed, so we'll insert the small PTFE tube inside the filament runout sensor just like that. Next, we're going to tighten the belts using the thumb screws, both in the X as well as the Y axis. Now we're going to install the 3D touch sensor in place, that is here in the front of the extruder. For that, we'll use the provided cable, bolts, and metallic support. So first, we'll install the cable right here. Next, we'll attach the 3D touch sensor to the metallic bracket. Once we get it, we'll install it in place here in the extruder head. You have to make sure you install it, pushing it to the top on its farther position. Every component is yet installed on the 3D printer, and the last step of the build will be to connect each of the components directly to the motherboard. We'll start with the Z-axis end stop and the right-hand side Z-axis motor. Next, we'll plug in the other Z-axis motor and the second Z-axis end stop. We're going to continue with the Y-axis end stop here at the back, following with the Y-axis encoder and the Y-axis motor. Here we go. I'm going to use a couple zip ties here to put these 2 cables together, as you can see. I'm going to continue installing the zip ties with the cables just like that. After organizing all the cables, we'll check the off-center nuts of the heating bed to make sure there is no movement or any vibration. We'll now do the same with the adjustable nut on the nozzle. As you can see, it had a small vibration, but now it's completely solid. Next, we'll check that the power supply is set to the right voltage. As we are in Europe, ours is set to 230 volts. Now we'll install the magnetic print surface in place just like that. We'll connect the printer to the plug, remove the screen protector, and press the power button. As you can see, it will boot up just like that. A message will appear on the screen: SD card removed. So that's the next we're going to do, install it in place. So we'll take it out of the box, install it in place, and click OK. Next, we'll do the auto leveling of the printer. After it makes all the probes, it will come to the center where you'll need to set the height with the paper sheet we saw at the beginning of the video. Now we'll open the included filament, we'll set it in place, insert it through the extruder, preheat the printer for PLA, and load the filament until we are able to watch it coming out of the nozzle just like that. Now we can go ahead and start our first print with the GEEETECH Thunder, the 3D Benchy. Once it starts, you'll be able to make the last adjustments in the Z-axis height using the baby steps. As you can see, it's in the second or third layer, and the printer is already going so fast, guys. This is real speed footage with no extra acceleration. Check out this speed. If we have a look at the screen, you'll be able to choose in between different print modes. Right now it's in normal mode, that I guess is the speed that you set in the slicer. You'll be able to change the speed on the fly while a print is going on. For example, if we set the speed to fast mode, as you can see, it will immediately speed up the print. And if we set to crazy mode, it will absolutely go crazy up to 300 mm per second. Back to normal mode, it will restore the original speed that is already very fast. Also, if we set it to slow mode, it will turn the printer not only slower, but also much more silent, what can be very helpful sometimes. Alright guys, so while this 3D Benchy finishes printing, I'm going to let you with a couple cool shots. As you have seen, guys, such a cool 3D printer. Now I'm gonna make a quick recap of its best features. It is able to print up to 300 mm per second, what will save you from a 30 to a 70% of the time. We got this benchy done in 27 minutes, running at normal speed. It has an all-metal body, what makes the printer very stable and robust. It has encoders for both the X and Y axis. What it provides is that it's reading the exact position of the stepper motor in every moment, and it's able to detect any skipped steps and automatically correct them, something that is very likely to happen running at very high speeds. It has a standard print volume of 250 by 250 by 260 mm. It rocks a magnetic and removable metal-coated print surface that sticks so well. It features an efficient cooling system according to their website with 5 fans, but if we count them, we have one for the hot end, 2 pointing the extruder tip on each of the sides, then the 2 big fans here, and finally the 2 at the bottom of the printer, one for the electronics and the other one for the power supply, what makes a total of 7, almost more than my PC. It also has this weird device here at the back of the Y-axis that they claim is a humanization design, but I don't really understand how it works. Please let me know how it works down in the comment section. It also has the ability to choose the speed you want to print, and adjust it with just one click while printing. Also, about the dual drive GR extruder, and it has so much more cool features such as an LED pointing at the nozzle tip, dual Z-axis motors and rods, filament runout sensor, power loss protection, silent stepper motor drivers, 2 Z-axis photometric end stops, high printing accuracy, and I could keep talking and talking, guys. This machine is actually incredible. I strongly recommend you to get one of those through the links that you will find down in the description of the video. I have printed a couple more objects that were included in the SD card, with the normal speed, and as you can see, the quality is just fantastic. Alright guys, so we have no more time to keep talking about this incredible machine. If you want us to make an in-depth review of all of the features of this incredible machine, please let us know in the comment section down below. To finish, just please make sure you are subscribed to the channel, consider supporting our work on Patreon through the link in the description, as all these amazing people do, and as always, see you in the next video.